Hi there, I'm Andre from Peak Motorcycles and I'm here at Motorcycle Live in the UK. I'm here at the Indian stand. Now, I didn't get to have a look at Indian at EICMA, even though it was on my list. I just ran out of time. I had 2 days to film, and with the other 48 videos, there was a handful that I didn't get to, and Indian was one of them. Now, I knew that they were going to be here at Motorcycle Live, so I thought I could save my look around their stand for here. So yeah, I'll show you what they have. Let us begin with the Sport Chief RT. Now, as you can see, it is a very shiny tourer with that beautifully finished engine with the gloss black all over it. This one is a bagger. I mean, it does have two small boxes at the back, and they really are fairly small. I mean, I think that's more of a commuter rather than a tourer, though I'm sure you could tour on it. But yeah, just give you a quick look up and over. I mean, this one does have that sort of small fairing at the front, which I'm sure gives you some wind protection. 116 cubic inch V-twin, 322 kilos. You know, I'm sure it goes just fine, but it is very much a bike for sitting back on and cruising. Here we have a similar bike. So this is the Chief with that same 116 cubic inch unit that's in it, without the fairing, without all the luggage, without all the extras that are on there. And then once again, as the Super Chief, this one's got a big old windscreen, sort of old school styling at the front end, and these leather bags at the back end. What we have here is the Dark Horse Chief Bobber. It's actually raised up so I can give it a slightly more closer look without having to bend down too far. And while these certainly look, you know, like old school, old tech, you know, they really are up to date. I'm sure they're all Euro 5+ compliant. The machining and the engineering on these bikes really is something else. If you're curious, it does have a belt drive, which I just noticed I can see just inside there. Coming up and over the seat, it's still quite a simple looking front end with that digital dash. Shall we look at something a little bit more comfortable? This is the Roadmaster, and yeah, you can probably tell what sort of bikes this is competing with. I mean, that looks super comfortable at the back end for the passenger. You know, they have a little grab handle in the front there. You know, in case those two large side boxes and that big top box isn't enough, there's even a top rack coming up into the front. Yeah, it looks super comfortable. You know, those big foot plates either side. The screen, it's still quite nice to see that they've stuck with the analog clocks left and right, because I think they go with the bike a little bit better than all the digital stuff. You know, speakers in there for your stereo, because you know, who really needs earphones when you're riding? Yeah, one of these will set you back somewhere in the region of £31,000 here in the UK. Similar bike, but this time in a bagger form. I actually quite like the look of that in the red and the white. You know, not quite as luxurious for the passenger, but I'm sure that for the rider, that's quite a nice place to be. Still got your speakers, still got your TV, and that sort of that white Fleckel paint job on there that comes all the way across the back really is rather cool. If the red and the white isn't for you, you can also have it in a very stealthy sort of matte black finish. Yeah, very understated. Same sort of bagger panniers at the back there. Everything is very matte black and stealthy. Yeah, that really is quite an exceptional paint job with the rear speakers, all the chrome. I mean, wow. It's not exactly my cup of tea, if I'm completely honest, but you have to admire the work on that Roadmaster. You know, I mean, that front end is, I mean, it's not subtle, is it? Everything from that front mudguard, which looks like something out of a 1950s spaceship, to those three lights in that chrome surround, and it's just massive. Yeah, it looks like that actually has both a heated and a cooled seat, because who doesn't need that on the bike? And then they've upped the ante with the clocks, with the fuel gauge and the battery level down there, on top of the ones actually on the dash. Now, I did think it had been discontinued, but I'm delighted they still have one FTR 1200 here. I know it was a bit of an experiment for them, and maybe it didn't quite fit with the bikes they were trying to sell, but I'm a big fan of the FTR 1200. When I first test rode one in 2020, I'd only just bought my CB1000R, and I think if I hadn't, I would have ended up with one of these instead. They do that in various guises. This is one of the more simpler ones with the analog dash, but it's still got that absolute beast of a 1200 V twin in there, and it really is a proper proper hooligan bike. The bike that I took for the test ride, I was so glad I had my earplugs in, because I felt it was almost unrideable without. But just that feeling you got when you start the bike up was just something else. So here we have the 101 Scout, and this is the Speed Plus 1250. Now this might look like it shares a lot with the other bikes we've seen so far, but this does have the new 1250 water-cooled power plant that's in there. You know, still got all the styling cues of the older Indians. This thing makes 111 horsepower. Might not sound like a huge amount, but I think that's not far off what the liquid-cooled 1200 GS made. Is that like 120 or something? It's also not super heavy like the others, and it's got, you know, the adjustable suspension and all that sort of gold detailing across the engine. You know, Brembo brakes at the front, so I'm sure that will stop as well as it goes. And even though cruisers aren't my sort of thing, this probably could be. You know, I think that's quite a nice looking motorbike if I was in the market for something like that. I'll show you a few others that use that same power plant. Here it is in the bobber form with those two little boxes at the back. I'm sure it's more practical than not having them, but they do look a little bit small for touring. Here we have the Super Scout with a Speed Plus 1250 as well. Bigger screen at the front. It definitely looks more retro styled. Does still have that same 1250 liquid cooled power plant in there. You know, got the bags on the back. Yeah, quite minimalistic as tourers go, but I think that's quite a nice looking bike. And with the FTR 1200 leaving the range, yeah, I think this is probably my new favourite, maybe. Either this or the last one that I'll show you. But this is just the Scout Classic. This is only this is about £15,000. Same 1250 engine. I don't know whether those mounting points mean that you could fit a pillion if you wanted to, but just with a single seat, you know, super low seat. Looks again quite traditional, but is pretty high tech underneath it. And the last bike, which I think is the cheapest one in their range, is the Scout 60 Bobber. So again, that same 1250 power plant, stripped back, doesn't have, you know, all the extras and bells and whistles that the other bikes have. No luggage, no fancy dash, just a you know, straightforward dash. But you know what? I also quite like that. You know, and that's just the 1250. It's got that big front tyre, which probably means it doesn't exactly corner as tightly, but then again, that isn't really what these bikes are for. So just before we finish, there are a few customs I want to show. So there's a few from Crazy Horse. So this is a 2025 Scout Street Hooligan. So they've taken that 2025 Scout and yeah, made it more, given it more of a flat tracker look. Sure you'll agree, that's quite a nice looking motorcycle. This side we have a Rideworks 2024 Sport Chief Custom. That looks like it's been lowered at the back, maybe even raised a bit at the front. Just love that paint job up and over the tank. Yeah, with that Rideworks decal. Yeah, just that sort of black, the black and the red. Oh, that's just mint. And the last custom from here is the More Speed Racing. This is the 1250 Indian Scout Classic 240 Custom. Again, you know, done some tweaks to the back end. It's got that Olin suspension, that stubby rear mudguard. You know, it's definitely only a one-seater. But yeah, quite a cool looking motorcycle. And to finish off, they've got their King of the Baggers. So they've taken, you know, their cruiser and sports biked it. If you saw my video from the Harley stand at EICMA, they had a couple of examples on display as well. I mean, I'm sure that underneath it shares a lot with the stock bikes, but everything else has been done to this, including those rear sets. You know, it still does have the carbon fibre luggage on the back. I don't think that tank is stock with that extra pad that's built out for the rider to lie on. That top clamp, that is something else. In fact, all of the machining for the parts up here. Yeah, that air filter, probably not amazing in the wet, but oh, just I do admire, I massively admire the engineering that's gone into these bikes. Yeah, that really is very, very extreme. Is that the right word? You know, these things aren't sports bikes. You know, they definitely aren't. But if you want to try and do something crazy with them, it might as well be that. And with that, that is my video from the Indian stand here at Motorcycle Live 2025 in the UK. Hope that's been interesting and useful. If it has been, please check out my other content from the show and maybe I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.